Hello everyone, it's Fike again, and today I'll be showcasing some more gameplay, this time of the new Ryugumon deck. And it really wasn't on my radar just because I was too focused on playing like the new hybrid decks, but I actually have been enjoying it quite a bit, so that's why I ended up showing this new gameplay footage. And I think one of the best parts about the deck is just the fact that you can kind of flow into other bodies and you kind of have some safety net with the Decode stuff. And again, I think the top end is kind of strong. Hopefully we get most stuff for it, but right now it's still pretty fun. And as you see in the gameplay, they ended up promoting the Yuko, and just I put them to 1 just because now they kind of have to give me a decent amount of memory, just because you're going to see them slam the table, which now sets me to 3, which I think is pretty good just because I do have some stuff I can do. In this case, I do end up playing the Tamer for free because I ended up going to the new Showmon, which is really good, and I'm basically able to pretty much climb up into my Mega here just because I do have enough memory for it. I do swing Force just because maybe I can get hit, and I know that my guy is most likely to survive, and I do have the inherited gain of memory, so I kind of try to choke them as much as possible in this case because I also did have Hammer Spark, so that way I can kind of try to minimize it along with play out another body. I didn't bomb deck the Yuko here just because I kind of want to keep my stuff on board right now, just because if they do somehow kill my Ryugumon, I can just decode out the level 5 and still be safe. And I didn't want to remove the Madoki Betamon just because I kind of want to have some sort of floodgate on the board at that current moment. And they didn't use the second Koichi effect, probably just because they didn't want to waste another hybrid at the moment, but they still end up doing the Loemon into Kaiser Leo combo and end up killing off my Madoki Betamon. But I end up, of course, stopping the attack because I still wanted to remain at 5 security, and I do actually, again, get to use Decode here. And while I don't put a level 4 under, I put the level 3 just because I also had the Betamon in my hand, so at least I could go into that in the back, along with the fact that I do end up playing swinging with the level 5, just because that way if I'm successful I'm able to at least go to 4, which I think could be pretty nice. Granted that it ends up surviving in that turn, it was a plan that I had thought of. And of course, so now I swing here. I don't put anything under just because I didn't need to at that current moment. I could have put the Lano, but again, the when attacking wouldn't trigger. And since I did gain the memory, I of course was able to play the Davis and still keep turn. And now I just of course go into another Ryugumon that I ended up getting, which let me to play off the level 3, so I can just get a lot of soldiers here. And I just grabbed Kalamaro just for future combo potential. And now I finally do decide to get rid of the Ryugumon just because I didn't really have a big use to keep the rookie on board at the current moment, and I kind of just didn't want him to get extra soldiers. But now they have a ton of memory at the moment just because of the Gabumon, and they didn't trigger any of the Tamers just because I guess they want to keep all the hybrids in hand at the current moment. But again, having 5 memory as a purple hybrid player, I imagine would be insane just because again you could just activate so many of your effects with like your Duskmons, your Velgos, and stuff like that. And you're gonna see them evo the Duskmon over the Gabumon, and frankly that kind of threw me off a little bit because I would have assumed they would have won the cheaper evolution cost, from the Koichi and stuff. But I guess maybe this was just a slightly better idea because they also do get the ability to activate the Gabumon Inherit, so maybe they want that instead. But again, I can't really tell just because you are able to grab back hybrids from the trash, so maybe if they really want to, they could have kept going and stuff, but maybe this way they at least want to get a little bit more cycle in, so maybe that's why as well. And again, Ryugumon is just a fantastic card just for the deck, simply just because you get to play out any team with hero effects, so that's basically all your Koichis, which is just fantastic. And they hit into a rookie, but I think it wouldn't matter anyway, just because it does indeed have jamming naturally, so that's really good for it. And now they go into Phoenixmon, which I think is a really funny top end just for the deck, simply because it is pop yellow now, so they can easily activate it. And I'm not really too scared just because of the fact that I'm able to at least bomb deck it regardless, because I do have the Ryugumon, so I'm able to bomb deck itself, activate Decode, and be able to remove it. Since it's not like a 1 Digivolve at the end of turn, that's just really good to me. So now I just instantly remove the threat without activating any other effects. and I kind of just decided to tuck in something with Decode because I wanted to keep my stuff safe at least, and I am kind of picky, and I ended up picking the Calamar one just because I don't really think it mattered if I picked that or the Lanamon because they have pretty similar inherits anyways, and at least Lanamon could search me some cards, so that's kind of good. While Calamar could also bounce stuff, I'm not really worried of using its when digivolving at this current moment because again they don't really have a whole lot of stuff on board, so that's not really a big concern to me. And while my hand is kind of empty because again I don't really have a lot, at least I do have Lana, so I can easily search out extra pieces, and again Ryugumon could easily help in a lot of different situations, and the fact that I still have my level 5 on board, that's really good because no matter what, they're always sitting an ace play, and if they do try to remove my level 5 at this current moment, of course I get Decode, so no matter what, I do have a lot of board retention, and that's another reason I started loving the deck, simply just because of the fact that, again, like your level 5 and 6 can able to just spawn out and still have something on board to kind of make your opponent worry a little bit. I still really like Vike and Pseudo for the deck, even though that they're not searchable by any of the rookies or the level 4s. I still think they're really valuable to have just because again they're just really solid blue cards, and the fact that you can decode Pseudomon out is really good. And they do the Dusk and Velgo combo, and unfortunately they hit a Vikemon, so they're unable to use the end of attack, but at least they get their Koigi back, which is still really solid in my opinion. And now, I think that's another strong suit of Velgo. Even if it dies, you still are able to kind of get the Tamer back if you have Duskmon, and that's another reason why I just really like the new Duskmon. And now they actually do live the next attack, but they don't trigger the end of attack of Velgomon because they end up going to the Ryugumon to play out a different Tamer, the BT2.0 Koichi, just because they wanted to have another creature on board for next one, because now I kind of have to do something, because if I don't, I pretty much just lose here. Now here I kind of just start swinging because I do have a plan. If they do have an ace, I can probably easily remove it with the like of something like Zulomon and my Lana, because again that's still helpful that it's a hybrid, so that way I can use my Davis because it's probably one of my least important tamers at this current moment, because I already do have a memory setter in this case. So obviously just swinging to the max, removing everything. I'm guessing the opponent is kind of waiting to see if I just hybrid for game and swing with that, but I kind of planned around it. I kind of wanted to, do a plan. I kind of want to remove the Ryugumon with my Zulomon because it just so happens to have 2 sources, so I can easily just do that and just, easily swing for game like this, so I just don't have to worry about the ace at all. And honestly, if they had done their ace a little bit sooner, I think they might have had put me in a worse spot, but they didn't. They were probably just waiting for me to kind of just swing with my hybrid and kind of just think I forgot, but thankfully I didn't. And this next game is going to be against Purple Lord Nightmon, definitely a deck I'm kind of afraid of just because I have played around with Lord Nightmon a little bit in the black base, and I kind of know how strong the X version is just because it's able to kind of pump out a lot of damage really easily. And to me here, it was kind of strange that they just hard slammed the Deltamon with basically me having nothing on board, but maybe they just want to have a level 4 and they didn't want to put in the back for some reason, but it is what it is. And I actually ended up drawing Pseudomon, so if I really want to, I could easily just bounce the Pseudomon back and essentially give them 1, because I could have just evo into it, but I didn't. I just wanted to get the extra search because I think at this time, since they didn't really have much threatening on board, not a lot of trains, only 1 boost, I wasn't really worried about them popping off, especially after being set to 1. And right now they can't really do a whole lot without passing Torn in some way, because I do have a memory cell, so if they do go into the ultimate heal, it would pretty much also pass Torn, as because they gain the memory back, and even if they pop the boost, again they wouldn't really be able to do much without the likes of Proto Form. So I think right now they kind of just have to kind of cycle out a little bit more and hopefully get some more options in the way, so that way they can climb up next turn. Granted, I don't remove a lot of the stuff they have on board, but now they're just pretty much thinking, hey, what do I want to do next? And they end up start swinging into my Lanamon, and I actually end up blasting here just because that way I'm able to remove some stuff and be able to strip some sources. And since the Zulomon is bigger, I'm able to just make it die. And part of me thinks maybe I should have bounced the Deltamon instead, so I can kind of stop the attack. But again, this way it removes 2 bodies, and I didn't really care if my rookie died in this case, just because it didn't really seem all that useful at the current moment. So here's what it is. But at least now I'm able to kind of clear the board a little bit, and they do end up doing another purple memory boost, which of course is always good. And honestly, for me, it's still looking pretty good, just because they have essentially nothing on board, so I can pretty much swing wherever I feel like it without the worry of any threat. And they do end up getting a training out of security, but it is what it is. And in my case, I end up just going to my Ryugumon and kind of just playing out the Lionmons to get extra search, but I really don't want the Dobomon X on there, so of course I just bomb deck it immediately with my Lionmon. But I think that play was still pretty good, because again, they'll set back to 1, along with the fact that I was able to get a search out, along with the fact that again I just got pretty decent advantage here just because of the search. And I really do like that the new Lana is also on play as well. That I think helps a whole ton to be able to work with Ryugumon quite a bit. And again, that's why I decided to make a hybrid package. And now here again, I pretty much just set them to 1 with the Madoki Betamon, because they had like 2 memory boosts on board, and this helped me out a ton, again simply because of the fact that I'm able to kind of stop them and floodgate them out a little bit to slow them down. Because I think at this position the Lord Knight player could easily just be able to pop off, because if they had the access to the boost, they would be able to go up to the Mega and be able to do a lot of damage and potentially just clear my board with of course the Digivolve and just hold off checks. And I didn't really want that, so of course playing the Madoki here kind of just felt like the best possible solution to slow down 1 extra turn. I kind of think that if they just had the rookie in the back without Evoing to Blackout or Uvo, they might have been able to kind of kill off the Floodgate Force and be able to pop off. But sadly is what it is. At least the Floodgate is gone now. And I don't think I'm able to win at this current moment, simply just because of the fact that again Lord Knight does have the redirect, and I do want to tuck under my rookie here just so I can potentially get a little bit extra memory, putting me to 5. And again, I could have won if the Lord Knight wasn't there, just because of that redirect, but it is what it is. And I kind of just go up into my chain, and I'm actually able to kind of board clear again here, because I'm able to de-Digivolve with Vikemon. I'm able to decode, bomb deck one of the guys, and pretty much just bounce with Pseudo. And again, that's another reason I like using Pseudo, just because of this exact situation where I'm able to kind of strip sources and pretty much remove a lot of stuff. And that's why I also like winning Vikemon as well, just because it helps a ton kind of just board clear and be able to do a lot of nasty stuff like this. Now they're pretty much popping both their boosts, and originally I was thinking, hey, what are they gonna do with essentially 6 memory? And I'm guessing at most they would want to try to build up some defense at most, because again I essentially have 2 bodies plus I hybrid in hand, so I think in most cases I would usually be fine enough to kind of just swing for game. So if they don't build up some sort of defense, or if they don't try to minimize the amount of bodies I have on board, they're really in a tough spot, so they kind of just have to focus on that at the current moment. And this is one of the big downsides I think of Lord Knightmon X, at least the Pulpa base, is that it's all gas and the defense is kind of minimal, so that kind of sucks. So you're kind of just left in situations like this sometimes where you kind of have nothing on board, and you kind of just have to pray for the best that you can kind of just combo off and hopefully have something left over on board. And now they do end up going up to the chain. They have the Pearl form, so I think in this case they would be able to kind of pop off a little bit, because that way they would gain the memory back, and then the Sopus mod would eventually play out a small body, so that way they can kind of keep towing and have at least 1 redirect if they do have the new Lord Knightmon from BT19. I think doing this at the current moment is probably the best bet, just because now they're able to at least climb up into the Mega, because the Dobomon X gains back a memory, and I don't think they had the BT19 Lord Knight, so they end up just going into the X, de-evolving my Vikemon, and still being able to keep towing. And now they're kind of choosing my Zulumon to not be able to evolve, but I don't think that's the biggest deal for me at the moment, because I still have my Shellmon on board, so in my mind that's still pretty good, and I at least can remove the board quite a bit, even if I'm not able to kind of fully remove it. And again, while my Zulumon can evolve, I'm not really worried, because at the moment they also don't have blockers, so that isn't a big concern. The only thing I guess I should be worried about is a potential ace, but Purple doesn't really have a whole lot of amazing aces that can really disrupt me at the current moment. I think there might be something like my respawn to give an extra blocker, but again, not a major worry I think at the current moment. while they do go into the Moon Ryugumon, it doesn't really stop the fact that I'd still have my Pseudo and another Digimon, so regardless of what they bomb deck, I pretty much would be able to go for game. And again, I've been having a lot of fun with the deck just because, Decode is a really funny keyword, and a lot of the stuff you can do with the deck is really good. And again, I just want to say thank you for anyone who's been staying around this long. I really appreciate all the support. And again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for the deck profile.